So, at our refuge meeting the other night, it come to my attention that on the county website that we were still advertising for employees at the dump,
Okay.
and that's not true.
We've had actually some applications received.
Yeah, there was 2 applications come in, I don't know when, but we haven't
God,
had any.
you raise a bigger issue. We don't have anybody managing that
Yeah,
website.
I know.
And so that's why I said to Mike, you know, I wanted to come in and suggest that, you know, we need to have somebody that's kind of active to manage that, even though I think it's Sharon's,
Sharon.
Cheryl.
Cheryl, I mean,
Ha! Sharon.
isn't it Cheryl's job?
Maybe Sharon should do that.
I think they'll remove it.
Yeah, we can, but we had talked about, so we did a deal with,
We need a website.
when we looked into getting, you know, we had to comply with videoing, you know,
Oh,
all of our meetings. We talked with this firm, I guess, that would set us up for video and conferencing. They maintain the data and they manage our website. But they wanted like, you know, like 12 grand to get it started and then like $3,000 or $4,000 a month. And so it was like, this is ridiculous. We can't do this, but we do gotta find, there are people out there that manage websites. And we gotta do that.
Yeah.
We gotta kinda, unless I'm wrong, I mean, I'm really ignorant as to I don't really look at that as website at all.
evidently a lot of people do, because,
Well,
Yeah.
apparently it's got some utility and Bonnie uploads things and minutes and, so I think we do need to see if there's somebody that could deal with that, and of course, we'd have to tell them that we don't have.
so I did ask Ron, because you had said you thought
Yeah.
maybe Ron done some of that.
Yeah.
And he says, well, yeah, I guess I had the ability to do some of that, but he says, he really don't have time, and he doesn't have any time whatsoever to do that as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah,
All the
that's
other
the whole
stuff.
problem, and then we
Yeah.
wind up waiting for him to do it, and he just,
Right,
it's not high on his priority list, you
no,
know?
no. So I did ask him if he could go in and take the help wanted out,
Okay,
and he said he did, but he said it would take a day for it to actually go
Cycle
away.
Okay.
And so, and I haven't went to the website yet today. I've been at City Hall and other stuff this morning, so
Really? There's things going on.
things going on, yeah. But,
Well, yeah, website issues have come, they have grown, obviously. I mean, you know, 20, 30 years ago, it wasn't even a concern.
no.
But now
no, no,
you're required to have it now.
yeah.
Well, there must be some local talent that can handle that.
You know, and I would think that there would be, you
Yeah, I'm
know.
sure there is.
I don't know.
I'm not sure who that is.
Well, the one fella that we worked with a little bit, and that was
Tubes?
the Toombs boy.
Yeah, Gary's son. Can't think of his first name, but,
Yeah, maybe.
He'll talk your leg off. I don't know how he does things on the computer, because it just, my God, he can talk.
and maybe he's got some recommendations of
Maybe,
somebody
you know,
else
We
locally.
could care less, you know, he could do it from home,
Of course.
yeah.
But I just thought I would come in and mention that, you know,
What's-
that evidently Ron told me that's been on there for a year,
yeah, it probably has.
so.
Oh, boy.
How are you get a high school kid to do it?
Yeah, there could be somebody out there that's,
Do you want to run an ad in the newspaper?
Yeah, I think we can find somebody word of mouth or through Morris Area or something. Unless, I don't know, what would we say, I guess? Maybe it'd be really simple.
Maybe more summarily to take that on for another $3,000 or $4,000.
Yeah, that's what we did. I know, and that's, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Is it just updating the
let's think
minutes?
about, let's think about it, we might wanna run an ad, but I think if we just dedicated a little effort to solving that problem, I think we'd get it solved.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'd rather spend the money in this county for
Right.
someone to do it part-time.
I'll do it for $500 a month,
Would ya? There's the first bid.
and that's a bargain.
And then we did have a really good refuge meeting,
Yeah.
with some good information. We had, and I don't remember his name now, a gentleman from Shepherd
Mhm.
and his daughter come up, and they are now licensed in the state of Montana to haul garbage in 6 counties at this point.
Wow.
And Muscle County is one of those 6.
Hmm.
And he said that he is willing to do whatever he can to help get our business, which meant if he has to hire truck drivers, buy more trucks,
He would do it.
he would do it in a heartbeat. He said that how many years, he's been working 6 years to get his license through the
Really?
state.
That I didn't pay attention to that detail, but I know he's got some experience. I thought he said he had 20 years of experience in the refuse,
Really?
business.
And one of the other things that we asked about was cardboard. Do you have an outlet for cardboard? And he says, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I said, where? He said, here in Billings. And he said, and I said, can we make money off the cardboard? And he said, if it's clean, yes. And so all we gotta do is pay for the shipping from Roundup to Billings.
Right.
And he's got that outlet. So again, he's gonna look into that and get back to us. He said that they even shred cardboard
Really?
and can get money back that way. Of course, we don't have a shredder, but we do have the compactor out there that,
Well, the cardboard thing is kind of mind-boggling to me, okay, because now the cardboard's going in the big dumpster, right?
correct,
So that's taking up space, although it's getting mashed down, so that's less of an issue, but you're paying to transport the cardboard.
right?
Yeah.
When before, you actually got revenue off the cardboard, even though it was little, you weren't paying a transportation cost,
Correct.
which, that transportation cost is, so I
Well,
don't know
we
why.
still pay transportation, but that little bit of money that we got
So
was
that would
after
offset that, so.
Yeah,
So the way I looked at it is, well, you're either paying to transport the cardboard and dispose it, or you're not paying, which is a savings. I don't think it's ever meant to be a revenue generator. But it just seemed to me it was a waste to throw it away as regular waste, you're paying more than if you just.
and it's
dealt with it.
taking up room in
Yeah,
those big
but
forties.
but apparently Boyd doesn't wanna mess with it.
Well, I'm the one that made the motion way back when to
Yeah.
stop doing
Okay,
cardboard.
all right, well then why? What was your thinking?
The reason why is because we didn't have a place to go to with it.
They were piling it up.
They were piling it up out there, and the only place that used to take it was in Washington, the state of Washington, and they quit.
So Pacific doesn't do any recycling?
I don't know who it is, do
Well,
you?
Specific is where he takes his cardboard
His.
to.
Okay.
He was
Yeah,
telling us.
actually, you can
yeah.
take it to Pacific, and same with aluminum and all that stuff.
So, I don't know why we were being told from Republic or whoever it was that cardboard didn't cost, couldn't get a
That's what-
dime back on it. And I said, why are we wasting our money out there banding it and compacting it then? Let's quit.
Well, I can see that logic, if you got nowhere to put it, I can see that, but if that might be, you might be able to solve that problem.
I think we can solve that
Yeah,
now.
because you got a
We know that-
compactor there, and maybe, now that we got the front end loader, they can squish, maybe it's a little less of a concern as how much space it's taking up, but it is taking up space.
And of course, he said it's gotta be clean. So, once
Well-
it's banded, and if we take it outside and it gets rained on and snowed on, it's no longer
I
clean.
challenge that. I'm not sure it's gotta be clean. If it's gotta be clean, nobody'd be bringing it back. Nobody, you know, who's gonna, and I could be wrong on this, don't get me wrong, but it sounds like that may be, not entirely correct. Because I can't imagine that, it's like, okay, so we got this cardboard, whoops, it's been rained on, we're not gonna take it. Or look, you got some paper on there that you haven't stripped off the,
Well, and I'm thinking there's a solution to that. If we have to buy rolls of plastic to cover that, to keep the rain out, that's a possibility.
It wouldn't take much of it.
Like
Wouldn't
shrink
take
wrap
much.
it,
Shed
like just shrink wrap it, is that what you're talking about, shrink wrap the
Yeah.
pallets?
Yeah,
with
well,
those,
that's another idea, but he's just saying take some Visqueen and roll it out and come, but I think that
Cover
might
it
be a
up.
lot of work too, that's kind of making it kind of a pain in the
but those are things that can be decided down the road, once we get the proper information.
ass. Amen,
Right.
because if it's true that it's gotta be clean and can't be rained on, I'm almost like, well, then let's just forget it, let's just keep
Right.
throwing it in the dumpster.
Yeah.
If you
we're
got a
not
place to
gonna-
stay in and you don't have to maintain it, well, obviously, yeah, what does clean mean? Why would rain?
well, the part about rain, cardboard, it just absorbs rain, it's just like a sponge. Chris gets all wet.
Right,
Well, probably
And then
adds
it doesn't
weight to
dry
it.
out very quickly either.
So they probably pay by the pound and it probably adds weight to it.
probably, yeah.
Maybe it's that.
But those are questions we gotta get answers to
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
point.
Well,
And
and
this-
Bill Trent was working on that, and then he kinda got,
Like,
oh, Terry were kinda pushed him back a little bit. Cause I thought he was getting some good information, actually, and then it all fell by
Right.
the wayside.
Anyway, this gentleman is supposed to get back to us. He lives in Shepherd. It's not far away from us. Not a national company like Republic. And believe it or not, Republic is nationwide, which I wasn't sure that they were. And when I was in Arizona this winter, there's dumpsters all over down there, especially along the highways, that are full of garbage. The garbage is blowing out. It's strung up and down the highway, and it's a mess. And it's not just Arizona either, it was in Utah too, that I saw a lot of their dumpsters. So, Republic does not have a good reputation, from what I see.
Well, Mike mentioned you guys are keeping track of them being able to keep up with the loads, and if they can't keep up with the loads, I think there's a couple other sources out there that would be.
Well, and that's where we're gonna depend on this gentleman over here, is to help us figure out how we can get out of that contract, cause we got 3 years left of it.
So I talked with Alex on, might have been Tuesday. And after talking with him, I emailed Bonadie to see if she'd get me a copy of that, contract so I could review it.
Oh,
Did you get that yet?
No, not yet.
She's been out, so I'll
Right,
get
I,
that.
And I
well,
have a copy
she's
of
been
it.
out.
I'll
Oh, do
pull
you
that
have a
for
copy?
you.
I have a copy of it.
Well, if you could provide me with a copy, that would be very helpful also. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I knew Bonadie was gone and I had other projects I needed to work on this week. And so, I mean, I figure this has been going on for a while and you didn't need an instantaneous response.
No,
And so I figured I would be able to wait until Bonadie got back, to get it to me. But if you're able to get that to me, Carolyn, I'd
I have it
appreciate
on
it
my
very
computer at the house.
much. And if you can email it to me, that works just as well too.
We quote from an office, just in casual conversation. But the high level thinking is it locks us into a 5-year agreement. And we're thinking, well, they're basically committing to, there doesn't anything that say so many loads or anything, but
Mike, do you wanna go to the?
we're basically
Ribbon
saying
cutting?
that if they can't
You
keep
wanna go
up,
to the
get the loads out of there, that they're in breach of their contract.
Yeah, probably.
Well, and I need to read the contract and
Certainly.
see what we've got in there to address the concerns of.
Yeah, but it's not my review, it's not really addressed on how many loads per day, but it's implied they'll be able to
Move somehow.
service our needs. And if they can't keep up, just so you know, it creates horrible conditions.
Blinking in the US-China showdown. Beijing is hitting back
Well, you've been
with new
warned.
tariffs, and trade is just one aspect of this.
Where I-
Good morning, I'm Dana
When I
Bryan.
came on to this committee,
Mystery.
which has been 2 years ago,
Were you?
the committee
Ribbon
said
Okay,
nobody had a
don't
contract
disgrace us, don't do anything,
with Republic.
don't make
They were
any
just
political
doing it.
comments.
And,
Try to retain, huh?
I said, somebody's gotta have a copy of that
No
contract.
tariffs.
So I went and was talking with
None? No
the
tariffs.
county
Oh,
attorney
no
at
tariffs.
that
Well,
time.
they can only use
And he says,
local.
well, I have a copy of it.
All right.
And he's the one who
No
gave it.
craft, we'll accept craft.
Our chairman
Oh,
at
yeah.
that
Tariffs,
time,
no. No tariffs, okay.
after I got it, told him she doesn't remember signing the contract. But yet her signature's on it. So,
You know, if they can keep up with the loads, there's no issues.
Right.
other than,
Other than that $9,600 a month or whatever for the guy.
well, the last month's bill was $50,000,
Yeah, but you probably had more loads.
so.
I think there were, it was all bundled up in that last.
And for what
deal.
it's worth, you know, I did that 5-year projection. I counted on that the number of loads would go up, the price would go up per load,
Right.
you know, and all that good stuff. But, so, and I think we've been running under what I thought we were gonna be spending so far. But, you know, the other thing I discovered, just for kicks, just to share with you, is so there was this position that they raised their price 30-some%, or they doubled their price. They didn't. They have been progressively charging us each year an increased cost per rate, but it wasn't 50% or anything. So when I actually looked at that, I go, where's this coming from? The reality is so what's in the contract now is like, is it 2.5 or 1.8% or 2.5 rate increase every year?
I wanna say it was 2 or 2,
Yeah.
2.5, something like that.
And that's kind of what they've been doing in the past, so it's not like one year they just went. If you look at the history, it's like, well, this year they charged us X per load and X per ton, this year they charged us, so it wasn't, and I can show you that, and so that's why it was like, well, the only, you know, I was trying to justify why we would raise the fee to the people in the county, and it's like, well, you haven't raised the fee since, was it 2014 or something?
And the cash went away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like, but, and we've now got this cumulative increase in rate and increase in volume, and likely to experience more.
Right.
So, I mean, unless somebody can show me how that jumped, I couldn't see it, I'm just sharing it with you, I kinda got in the weeds of the numbers.
Like I say, this gentleman is supposed to be getting us prices so that we can compare
Well,
and see, it may not even be
What's his name?
feasible. Do you remember what his name was?
is it Alex's guy?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the guy that we bought the building from. the
Is it
office.
McKenzie or Milton, or something
No, it's
with
not
an M?
McKenzie.
Well, we had actually called the guy on the line, remember when we called him, we got his rate, he was 500 and something a load and X amount per ton. He was right on Republic's. He was lower per ton and higher per load or something, but it was really close.
Right,
And he wanted the business, and then Alex's guy bought all these containers and trying to build his business.
right, and that's what he's been doing. I'm assuming that's what he's been doing.
And I guess Republic kinda has a monopoly on that, you know, the one guy was kinda hesitant to do anything, well, not really, was he? Do you remember talking to that guy? We got him on the speakerphone, but
it could have been the fellow that came in to see
I
us.
think it is, I think it's the same guy, Ed something, but,
I forgot his name, I did not write it down.
his numbers were competitive and he said he could keep up with our needs. And I don't think he was afraid of making Republic mad. I think he would be, but then that's when it came up, well, we got a 5-year contract, we can't. And the other thing is like that contract has in it, you mentioned the guy for Republic that does nothing for like $96,000 a year they pay.
Yeah, he just stands there. Well, he tried to run the skid steer and
He run the skid steer into
ran
the-
it into the dumpster and tipped it over.
Well, and I think his main function was to coordinate loads, to say, we need you to pick up another load, you know, get on, it's like, we don't need that, so we can do that. You're fully aware, but I like what I'm seeing out there, I'm seeing a lot of improvements.
Oh, the improvement's been 500% from what we had before. The gal that's working out there full-time right now, and ever since I got back, I've been out there quite a bit, and she's out there checking loads.
Yeah,
and-
you
and-
feel
and
like somebody's-
visiting with people, and to me, it felt like the public was way friendlier than what it has ever been in the past.
Yeah, it felt like somebody's actually watching what, you know, managing what's happening. But she was very polite to me. She didn't say, "What's that?" or, you know, she was just, okay. So, which, the fear was that they would be overly zealous in checking loads, and they're doing an excellent job as far as I can see.
Yeah.
They're probably
I mean-
taking in money too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just saw him come in today, Boyd,
Did he?
bringing his money in.
So, no, it's been really good. I'm gonna try and order a new camera system here if that young lady will let me use their credit card this morning to order that system.
I warned her.
Did
Just
ya?
use Mike Goffney's credit card. He's got so much money.
He's not even here. You got his card? Like,
I told Tom to forward all the road complaints to Mike Goffney. I'm joking, of course, but. No, that'll be good, cameras.
Yeah, unfortunately, the camera system that's out there, it's working good. We don't have enough cameras right now, but it's working good, but the problem we run into is the administrative part of it, password and that stuff, we don't have. And every time we try and fix that, reboot it, you know, and put in a new password, it locks the system up.
It's a problem.
It is a problem.
You know what, we have the same issue all the time.
And so I went and got prices for a new system from the same company. And then I got to thinking, well, I wonder what it would cost if we was to use the same company that put in these new cameras here.
Okay,
And
that's
put it in
DES or
better.
whatever. What's their name, is it DES?
DIS.
DIS.
Yeah.
And I used them in Golden Valley County. And they've been really great to work with, for me anyways. I don't know how it's been here since they put the cameras in, but I imagine it's gonna be a lot more money to do that dump than it is to pay $800 or so for our own system out there, but it would be nice to have it all in one system.
Yeah, well, and it's horrible to be hung up because you can't get a password. I mean, you know, that's kinda like, there's gotta be a way around that, but your whole idea though is, well, we might as well do this right.
Well, and that system's getting old now.
Yeah.
And,
No, and that's good to have that, security.
well, it helps, the way we've got it set up now, they can actually read license plates with it, along with people.
Okay.
Okay.
So when
Does it
you-
have face resignation?
Yep, it does.
Oh, it does?
It does.
Oh, I'm gonna have to wear my COVID mask.
Mask. Yeah.
Need your hoodie.
Yeah, a hoodie and a COVID mask when I go out there.
But, everything else is, I think, has been going along pretty good.
The one thing that we also talked about was, they need to have safety training,
Oh, yes, yes.
and then the employees themselves need to have a little bit of, everyone needs to be on the same page, and there hasn't been that. So,
And I know the road department here, years past, when I was DES, every year they would send some of their employees to different road trainings and safety trainings and that sort of thing. And as far as I know, none of the employees for the refuge departments here, Melstone, Muscle Shell, have ever had any training whatsoever.
Well, is there training available?
I think so, it's just a matter of finding it and seeing what it costs, you know, I know the road department, they have all kinds of safety training deals every year. I know fire has tons and tons
Yeah, I
of
think
safety.
that's a really good point, you know, and it definitely, it's networking, then you can see what's going on with other, you know, it's just a knowledge thing that, it's kind of an intangible thing that can be really powerful.
And then the other issue, first reports. Nobody knows about first reports for the county if somebody gets hurt, injured.
Oh,
and
that
what
whole
to do.
workers' comp thing?
Yeah, that,
You know what, we do need to we need to get Denise going, we're gonna try and get somebody on point for us with that. Denise Newman was, what kind of brought this to our attention is we got, the state said, hey, you realize you guys got two people on workers' comp that haven't worked for like 9 months or whatever, and, they're costing you $56,000 a year in premiums. And you need to look into whether they can come back to work light duty. And they could. But you needed somebody to stay on, you know, you
Right.
needed just somebody to say, okay, where's your doctor's note, and so it was just, and so Denise, we need a person that can get with the refuse and say, you know what, you need, if somebody gets hurt, they need to call this number and for incident report or whatever it is. I know that's a long explanation, but we keep finding these little, I guess, things that slip through the crack
right.
that because we're not really a business with the right, you know, having everybody assigned to everything that,
We don't even have anybody supervising those two employees down there.
no.
well, wouldn't that be Boyd?
Well, they've talked about it.
We
Well,
talked
but
about that.
that's a conflict of interest or whatever?
Well, I don't think it's conflict of interest, he's already got a job to take care of this stuff here at this refuge site.
Oh, you mean down in Nelson?
Melstone and Muscle Shell. Nobody's supervising those two gentlemen down there. I've heard the names, but I don't even know who they are.
Well, what do we do about that?
That's a
How do we-
good
How do we
question.
address that?
There's not even a job description for it.
Yeah, that was the other issue.
We gotta have a job description for them.
I'm laughing because it's like, we've hired somebody that we don't even know what they're doing, and do we even know what
Yeah.
we're paying them? And, you know, it's
crazy.
What if they do something wrong?
Yeah, in the
It's
assumption.
absolutely crazy.
Mhm.